right, welcome back to the Chase Your Dreams podcast, y'all. We're at the home office today, and we have a guest in the house who is slowly becoming a friend of ours. He spoke recently at Chase Fest, and he's an agricultural enthusiast. He's a parent. He's lots of things in life. Above all else, he's a human being, and that makes him so valuable. So, welcome to the Chase Your Dreams podcast, Mr. Kendall. How we doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here. This is a very professional setting. So
thank you. Thanks for saying that. We try our best.
Yeah.
We everything about our little setup here is actually pretty DIY, but a lot of people on our team have just years under their belt of various creative things, and so we can kind of collectively piece it together into a situation that feels pretty good.
But that's like the best part about it is because like you can like feel that like, oh, it was like somebody was like, oh, I have this thing that could probably fit well in here, and then once you get that one thing in there, then it's like, oh, I've got a rug, I've got this, I've got that, and so it's a lot of like hands that go into it, but in the right way. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like it's not too many cooks in the kitchen. You know.
Here we go, right off the bat.
Reference.
That's a great segue. Also, I will say we were a little bit anxious because you're such like a rootsy organic guy, and we definitely have a fake plant here. And I was like, listen, man, we're only in the office on Tuesday and Thursday. We can't always be watering the plants.
Nah,
all right.
I completely understand. We have so many houseplants at home, and then like we've got a little garden out front. We're trying to like be better at things. Eventually want to like have like land and like actually like do like there was this book I read. It was called the Market Gardener. It was basically designed to like get the most out of like the smallest amount of space. And then we had a plot. We had 2 beds at the community garden when we lived in the Valentine neighborhood. And we would kind of like look at other people's like beds and not judging them. Yeah. But I'd always be like, man, why do they do this? Why do they do that? And I'm like, don't be that person. Just like appreciate the moment. And like, so fake plants are like super cool because you don't have to water them. They always look green. And
yeah, for sure. Well, I appreciate you not judging us for that. So I think this is a good jumping off point, though, just talking about gardening and farming in general. You have a background in this stuff, and you've had some experiences with elderberry that maybe we can dig into, but just gardening in general. We just planted a community garden in Fort Scott, Kansas, where we support some youth there. And it was really fun to just get everybody together, literally putting our hands in the dirt, out in the sun, planting things, knowing that the goal is to harvest this later, to have a meal for us and for the neighborhood. And I wish that it sank in for more people why that's so fulfilling, especially in a modern era that is so kind of grab and go when it comes to food. So what have you learned about gardening, and specifically maybe even community gardens, and how that can influence either a neighborhood or a family or someone?
Well, gardening itself is like nice because it teaches you like discipline and like patience. Whereas like you typically, like, I'll speak from like a young boy's perspective. You learn those things through sports. And so sports is a communal thing. Like you have a team. There's individual sports, but you have a team and you're all pushing for one goal. But in that team, you can have a bad game. And so if we're on the team and I have a bad game, but you just go out and like crush it, then like we can still win and things can be fine. And maybe nobody notices that I particularly had a bad game. But if we have if like in a garden standpoint, if I have a bad night or a bad day and I don't water, or I don't go out there and tend to my garden, then there's no wins or losses. Like these are like living organisms that are like kind of relying on me, So like when we didn't have any rain, it was like, all right, I got these strawberries and some mint and some herbs planted. They're not going to grow if I'm not watering, And so like I'd wake up some mornings and like you kind of just like, it's cold outside. I don't really want to go out there and do that. But these like things are relying on me. And so in the sense of a community garden, now it's like, okay, we have these these guidelines. I really like structure. So like community gardens typically have guidelines, like you can't grow mint because like mint's evasive. There's like some other like Missouri like natives that you can't like have over there because they'll just like take over. They want you to like weed regularly. They want you to like, just like do your maintenance, because if your if your bed looks bad, then it kind of like brings the value down, and if my bed looks bad and your bed looks bad, and now we've got like, you can see the like domino effect to it. And so in the sense of like gardening yourself, you not only do you have these like organisms that kind of rely on you, but then in a community garden sense, it's like, oh, if we're all doing this together, and if I'm not pulling my weight, then like that's gonna make it harder for Brad. And if Brad's like having to carry my weight and his weight, then like now Jordan's gonna receive some of that like kickback. And all it takes is for just one person to like, I don't want to say not do their job or not fulfill their duties, but for one person to not communicate. They're like, oh, I was really tired, and so I didn't make it over there that day. I could have just hit Kendall up. I'm Kendall. I'm talking to myself in third person, but like, somebody could have been like, oh, I'm having an issue. Let me like reach out to Brad, see if Brad can maybe cover this for me. And then you're like, oh, actually, I can't today, but I know that Kendall's free, so I'll shoot a text to Kendall, and then I'm like, oh, cool, Brad, I got you. I'll go like, I'll get the mulch down, because I know that if we don't get mulch down today, then like tomorrow it's going to be an even bigger task, because like now we have to weed, now we have to do these things. And so like the idea of a community garden, it teaches you discipline, it teaches you like structure, it teaches you like that it is bigger than you. Our garden, there was like a lot of like ideas that they wanted to do, and then realized like, oh, this is kind of tough to do as like the three people that were like trying to organize it. But then once those three people were like, oh, everybody that bought plots here probably would be down to like help us like do these extra things to like get it done. And so once they reached out, then it was like, we got a new spout. They painted a mural in the back. There was like a fence that like needed to be rehabbed. And so you just saw all these things start happening where it, like I said, where once they were like, okay, this is kind of becoming overwhelming, and then you realize they're like, oh, I have a whole support system that is already in place. And you just learn a lot with, you can like watch something grow and develop, and you just continue to do your part. You pick up your share, and everything just kind of like, it falls into the place organically. No pun intended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like that you kind of flagged the discipline and infrastructure components of community garden, because I think when people think come together in community, they think about holding hands at a barbecue or going to a concert or something, but we forget too that community is also holding up your end of the deal. It's following the rules that the group has set out. It's discipline, like you said, when you don't want to get up and you have to because something's relying on you. And so I'm kind of wondering if maybe we can braid that mindset into parenting, because you're also a parent.
Right.
And when you said that about, I got to get up and water even though I don't feel like it. I mean, so I have a 20-month-old daughter, and parenting is like the epitome of you have to do the thing when you don't feel like it. So how does that play out then in your life as a parent? Like, how have you brought that mentality of discipline and taking care of a living thing that is fully dependent on you into the parenting headspace?
So I have a 14-year-old. Well, he'll be 15 this year in July. So I have a teenager. And one thing that I remind him is that like, hey man, every year you get older, it's like the first year that I get to like experience being a father of a kid that age. So, as you're going through these hardships, like, yes, I've been 14 before, but I've never had a 14-year-old in my house. And I've been 15 before, but I've never had a 15-year-old in my house. And I think back to like what 15-year-old me was doing.
Yeah.
And to be fair, he's so much better than me at 15. Like the other day at school, I was telling one of my friends that she's she's worked at this coffee shop that we go to for like ever. So she's like seen him just kind of grow up. When we were young, when he was younger, I guess technically we both were younger, but when we were younger, we would go to the shop on Fridays because he didn't have to be at class at school till like 8. So we would go. He'd get a hot chocolate, and I get my coffee.
Nice.
And so they watched him grow up, and so now that he's in high school, he has to be there at 7. So we don't get to go much, but when we do go, they're always like very excited to see him. So the other day they were like, "Oh, we never see you around this time. What happened?" And I was like, "Oh, Carson's at home sick. I had to pick him up from school and like take him home. But he missed yesterday, and they had a presentation, and he really wanted to make sure that like his group didn't have him gone. Like he's playing sports, but he's looking at that like, oh, these are my teammates in the classroom. And if I don't show up, then like they don't have the information for this portion of the presentation. Like I did my part. I want to at least make sure that we can go do that." So we woke up in the morning and I asked him, I was like, "Yo, are you like good to go? Like, you sure?" And he was like, "I want to at least try. And if I can't like make it through the day, then I'll like text you. But I at least want to try." And I was like, "All right, cool." So like he texted me like Ted, and he was like, "Hey, I don't want to take you away from your work and your task. If you need me to, I can see if like Jordan or somebody else can come get me. But like, it's just really hard for me to be at school today." And I'm like, "All right, cool." So I go pick him up, take him home. And I'm like, "Well, I'm already out. I'm going to go get coffee." So I stop over there, and then they were just like, "Man, that's just so cool that he like wanted to be there for his teammates."
Yeah.
And I was just like, "You're right."
Yeah.
Like, you're right. Like I'm if my parents gave me the option at 14, I would have been like, cough, cough.
Yeah.
I don't think I can go. But instead, he's wanting to be there and like to be present, to like give it up, give his all, whether it's on the basketball court or in the classroom. And every time I'm like, all right, he didn't do this the way that I would have did it. And I know the way that my dad was with me, and I don't have to do that with him. Like, I don't raise my voice with him. I have raised my voice with him, but then my partner was like, "Do you think that works? Did that work for you?" And I was like, "Actually, no." And then she was like, "Well, do you think that's going to work for him?" And I was like, "No, And then she was like, "If you weren't happy with something that one of your coworkers did, could you just pull a belt out and like whoop them?" And I was like, "No." Like we'd be like, it's two men now, or like now we're two adults, and like we communicate. And so my parents always gave me the option to like use my words, and I may have overstepped that boundary, and it resulted in me being disciplined in a manner that was usually physical and like loud and aggressive. And so then before I ever get to that point with him, I let him know like, "Hey, this is why I'm upset with the choice that you made. I'm not upset with you. I'm not disappointed in you. The choice that you made. And it's because I know that you know better,
Yeah.
Like, are you happy with the choice that you made?" And if his answer is no, which it usually is, and I'm like, "All right, so like, you already understand where I'm going with this." Like, I asked him to like, Jordan, my partner's short. She's not short. She's the average height for a woman in America. But he's 14, so he's like growing. His uncle is like 6'4", so like it's a good chance he's already like outgrowing us. So he's moving the shower head a little bit higher. Okay. And I was like, "Hey man, like me and you are closer in height, but like we open the shower and it's like just water in the face." So imagine what that's like for Jordan, who's like 4 or 5 inches shorter than you are. And he's like, "Oh, okay, cool. I'll make sure I do it." And it like happened for a day, and then it was back tall. Then it happened for a day, and it was back tall. So I was like, "Hey man, remember that conversation we had?" And he's just like, "Yeah." And I'm like, consistency. Like I'm not asking you to hit it every time. Like I can get in there and I can like help you, but I need you to help me help you. Like if you can make the effort and you fall short, then I'll be there to help you pick yourself back up and we can get across the street. But as you get older, I can't keep putting you on my shoulders to get you across the street. Like I have to let you go out there and you have to like fail or like just learn. And then I have to come in and say, all right, so remember that thing that I was telling you about? Because I was 14 and this happened to me. Now you see it,
Yeah.
You can listen to me and hear me out what I'm saying, or you can be like, oh yeah, my dad's just being my dad, So
Yeah, it's so interesting, the parallels even between a 14-year-old and a 20-month, because I don't know your memories of raising your son, but even I was talking about this with my wife the other night. My daughter's name is Rosie, and she knows now. I mean, even at 20 months, she knows some things that she shouldn't do and should do based on our reactions or her own safety, things like that. And yet, even when she knows she shouldn't do it, she still does sometimes. And I was having this conversation with my wife, like, this is not ending anytime soon. I still do things I know I shouldn't do. You still do. So just pulling it back to patience, like you said, and what you learned through farming. I remember at your Chase Fest presentation, you really drilling it home, like how important patience is both in plants and people. And so what would you say are some of those big aha moments through studying farming or agriculture that you could then apply to parenting? Patience, anything else come to mind?
So something I spoke to at Chase Fest was the vinegar project that we did.
Yeah.
So Rebecca Graff and Tom Ruggieri, they have a farm, Fair Share, up in unincorporated Clay County. And I met them probably been like 2018, 2019. And I just really wanted to learn about fermentation. Didn't really I don't even say I didn't care about farming, but like I was like, oh, if I can like learn fermentation, then like I can create these like really cool things and like my food would taste better.
Yeah.
But when I got up there, the more that I learned, I was like, oh, they're not teaching me fermentation. They're teaching me about like kind of like life, but through the best way that they could teach somebody. And they don't have kids, but the time that I met Tom, he's like, he was legit. He had just turned 64 and I just turned 32. And so the Beatles song When I'm 64. So I was like, oh, this is like cool. Like he's like twice my age.
Literally twice my age.
Yeah. And he would always tell me like you can take the short route. You miss so much information, or you can take this long, complicated process, and throughout that journey, if you got a road that like from like just they just put a highway in and you could just take the easy pass, and get there. Now you're there, but you miss so much along the way, so you don't learn how to like navigate through curvy roads. You don't learn how to like slow down, and merge, because it was just this straight shot.
Yeah.
And so in 2021 he was like, hey, we've got these elderberries, we're working on this like this US funded project, it's federally funded project, and we want you to be a part of it, because one of the big components is taking this thing that just grows here in Missouri and being able to like create this product and then test it and see which method works the best. And as farmers, we have all the like resources and all the tools to do it a certain way. But the study is about, can someone do it at home? Can someone do it at a restaurant? Can you replicate these things? And which method works the best and like achieves the highest result in like the final product, which was the vinegar. And so we got to literally take elderberries, which just, there's elderberries growing in a creek in my neighborhood, like in East Side, Kansas City, and nobody touches them. They're just sitting there. Like I usually will like go over there and like get clippings and take them home and like make elderberry things. But just take this product and we juiced them to make and fermented them to make wine. So I learned how to make wine. But then once I had the wine, then there were 3 different methods that we tested out. One was the bubbler method. There's a restaurant in Copenhagen that put a cookbook out, and everybody loves it. And to be fair, my mentor, he worked there. So like I loved it. Like I've never eaten there because it's in Copenhagen, and I cook, so I don't travel. That well. But so they teach this bubbler method, and it's the quick, easy step for like being in a restaurant and like making vinegar. But basically, what you do is you take anything that has if you have like too high of an alcohol content, then you just cook the alcohol off. And if you have too low of an alcohol content, then you kind of like add something you add a vinegar, like a previously made vinegar, to help bring that up to be able to start that process. But you basically take a fish, what's the thing that goes into a fish pump, like the little air pump, you put it in there for a fish tank, and it essentially bubbles all the alcohol off. And so in order to make to make vinegar, you need to have alcohol present, and that alcohol aerates into acetic acid. Okay. And so you need to have at least like 6 to 8% alcohol. So like the first time I did it with like a beer, like a Tank 7. Yeah. And you get this like finished product that tasted almost like a smoked Granny Smith apple vinegar. And it was really good and really tasty, but we tested it, and that was kind of what like Tom tested and was like, dang, this is like not true vinegar. It's
Too
only
much alcohol?
It wasn't enough. It was only at like 3%. But I was like, well, I picked a beer that had 8.4% alcohol, like ABV. So like in theory, there was a high enough alcohol percentage to convert into acetic acid. And so Tom, he tested again. We let it age again, and we noticed that that method with the beer was losing the alcohol content. So then when we tried it with the elderberries, we're like, all right, well, we're making the wine, so we can even bring the alcohol content to a slightly higher percentage to account for that. Because if we can bring that percentage higher, then we should be able to aerate it to about 4 to 6% acidity. Well, we do this method. It takes maybe like 20 days to like go from whatever alcohol it was, like the wine, to a vinegar. We tested again, and then it's still like not a true vinegar. And so then we did another method, was just like a super like it's almost like jailhouse, like hooch style, where you make the wine and you let the wine just kind of like ferment naturally, and you put a cloth over it. And so instead of adding something that will like kind of like force it to force the alcohol to start to like kind of like wake up and activate, you just leave it covered with like a rubber band, some cheesecloth, so nothing can get in it. And about like 6 months later, all the alcohol has kind of like all the alcohol essentially airs out. Okay. And we tried that method, and that method was better than the bubbler method. And what we learned was that the bubbler method essentially was forcing the alcohol out before it could actually turn into acetic acid. And so that's why the acidity levels on those vinegars were low, is because we thought we were starting with 12% alcohol, but through this like speedy process, we were essentially like just like shortcutting it. Yeah. And so then we tried the Orleans method, and it's like the like foolproof. You can buy a machine. It's a Mally Schmickel machine, and literally you press play. It like runs it over these like nice things, and like you get the perfect vinegar every time. But in the 1800s, they didn't have a Mally Schmickel machine. They had these like whiskey barrels. Yeah. And so what they did with the whiskey barrels, you have your wine in it, and you have a like a little like spout at the bottom, and a like a siphon hole at the top. And with the barrels, the alcohol essentially like seeps out, and as it's becoming as the alcohol, the sugar's eating the alcohol and turning it to acetic acid, and then you start to develop a mother. And so the Orleans method, the mother stays at the top, and you never like if the mother sinks, then that means the vinegar is bad. But you never actually disturb the mother. So with the Orleans method, you put the siphon tube in there, you strain off the old vinegar. Once it's like actually become vinegar, you strain the old vinegar out through the spout at the bottom, and then you add the new batch of wine over through the spigot through the siphon tube. And so
but the mother stays
there, so you never disturb the mother. You're constantly just nurturing it, fostering it, making sure you keep the mother alive. That's the only thing that's important with the Orleans method. It don't matter. I mean, obviously you keep it in the right temperature, but the main goal is keeping the mother alive. And so at Chase Fest, the way I equated that is that you get these like parenting books, and I think back to when my son was 20 months. There's every parenting book that that you can find. There's Newborn Mag. I'm just throwing these names out. I don't think they're real, but like there's all these different like books and like literature that you can buy, and it's kind of like the shortcut, because you're gonna read something and then you're gonna try it, and you're like, oh, that's not working. It must be my kid, So you try something else and you're like, oh, well, this worked for everybody else, so it must be my kid. And a lot of times you don't stop and like think like, oh, what if like what I'm trying is like just the wrong method, What if I'm trying to see results now and not actually like being patient and like just feeding my child like the information and giving them the tools and the resources while like nurturing that mother, which is essentially their brain. And you can try something and that doesn't work and realize that like, oh, well, it's not that I'm a bad parent or that my child is bad. It's just that this thing didn't work for us. And so you siphon that out and then you just drain it and you try something else. You add something else in. And whether that's, a lot of people are like, oh, I just like put my kid in sports if they're not like talkative or they're kind of shy. And now you're just forcing your kid to play sports. It's like, oh, that worked for Tommy's son. He opened up when he started playing sports, but that doesn't mean my son is going to open up, when he started playing sports, which he did open up when he started playing sports. But he also went to a school where he was the only, like, one of the few black kids. And it was a French immersion school. So it was a kind of culture shock for him. But once he started playing sports, so like that worked. But if I was like, hey, Rosie's kind of shy, just put him in sports. Like that may not work, and it doesn't make you any less of a parent for trying something and it not working. All you do is you just strain that, and then you put the siphon tube back in there, and you just put some fresh ideas in there, and you try something new. And once you find something that is, you're like, oh, I can like be patient, and I can develop this child's brain, and I can help like nurture him until he's ready to go out there. Like it may not be a 20-day process,
right?
It may not be a 6-week process. This may take 8 months. It may take for him to see something and like see results, and then also see failures, but then see that he can like grow from those failures and get right back on task. Like just because the mother sinks in the vinegar, you don't toss the whole batch. You trust the process, and you keep doing the things that you have seen to have success. And eventually you start seeing those successes become almost routine, where you're like, oh, okay. So now he does put the shower down, and I didn't have to yell at him. It wasn't like I needed to whoop him, like the bubbler method, that's like spankings. I want to get this like result from you right here, right now. But sometimes you have to just like delay the result to teach the process. And so that was something that that I was grateful to pick up through Tom and Rebecca. And I don't think that they like had me do that because they were like, oh, this guy's a parent, he's gonna like this is gonna help him be a better parent. But in doing that, I was just like, oh, if I treat my child's brain as like gentle and care for it with the attention to detail that I do this vinegar and the mother, if I can be patient with this product, then I can be patient with my child.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So. Yeah, no, that's very insightful. And, you know, I think that there is just an aspect of parenthood in general that's just so consistently humbling across the entire time span of being a parent. My sister, she has 3 kids, and she always tells me that, you know, in your case, you were saying, you know, I've never raised a 10-year-old until now. I've never raised an 11, a 12, 13, 14. Well, then you might have a second kid, but and then that person theoretically would say, well, I actually have raised a 10-year-old. I have raised an 11-year-old. But this is now a different human that operates differently than the 10-year-old before them.
Right.
And so you are constantly humbled through the cycle of ages and people and stuff as you continue to parent, if that's your path in life. Something you said about the mother reminded me of sourdough bread and having a starter and just always focusing on feeding it to keep it alive so that it can produce for you, basically. And so if you're cool with it, I want to talk bread.
Oh, dude, I love talking bread. I didn't wear my bread hat today because I was just like, man, I actually heard, I think we were out of like a estate sale, like maybe like an antique mall. And a lady was like, we've gotten to the point now where people are just wearing hats that say simply just what it is. And I was like, oh, she's talking about me. Like, I have a hat that says bread on it, and I'm just here just going through life. And then I could hear, I was like within an earshot of her, and I was just like, dang, I've become that guy. But like, that's completely fine. And I like to joke that like, man, 12-year-old me would be like, dude, I thought we'd be like rapping or like doing like cool stuff, but like, I guess this is all right.
Yeah. You know what's funny about that is I told someone that we were hosting you at Chase Fest, and this person is vaguely associated with Green Dirt. And so I don't think they knew you super well, but they met you a couple times. And they're like, oh, the bread guy. And I was like, yes, the bread guy.
Dude, so when I first started at Green Dirt, I only worked on Mondays and Tuesdays. So I never saw anybody. But my shoes were there. And like, so like they would always be like, man, we just see these like white Birkenstocks, and we'd always be like, this must be the bread man shoes. And so whenever I would meet somebody, they'd be like, oh yeah, this is Kendall, the bread dude. And I'd be like, oh, like cool. And then like it went from the bread dude to the bread guy to
the bread hat.
Yeah, seriously. Like my barista, I was sitting at home one day, and they just like text me, was like, dude, you need to buy this hat. And I was like, oh, that's like amazing, because every time King Arthur sells his hat, I always go to buy it. And then like I never end up getting it because like I've seen it like twice and it was sold out. So I was like, whatever, it's not meant for me. And so when they sent it to me, I was just like, oh, I just like bought it. And at the time I probably shouldn't have bought it because I was like, you know, trying to like
expensive hat, man.
Oh yeah, it was way more money than I would have ever paid for a hat. But
worth it.
Seriously, I was like, I heard somebody say the pizza method. If you think about like going home after a long day of work, and then it's like, dang, I gotta cook, and if I cook, that means I have to like get things out to prep, and I gotta clean up afterwards. I gotta do dishes, like. Or I could just order a pizza for like $20 and like save so much time, you know? And so it's like if that happiness, if something could bring you the happiness of ordering a pizza after a long day of work, you know, and it doesn't put you in a tight spot, then like do it.
That and clothes are like anything else that typically, not always, typically the more expensive it is, hopefully the more ethical they are. You know, if you're not sourcing things from places where people aren't being paid well, then that's built into the price. And if you're using fabrics that aren't plastic, that's built into the price.
Right.
And so sometimes too, you can justify it that way.
It's King Arthur. They're in Vermont.
Yeah.
So like I don't know if they're Vermontians, but like Ben and Jerry's are from Vermont, you know, like for people from Vermont, they kind of got like the whole like sustainability thing figured out.
Yeah.
So that's also why I felt like, I'm like, well, they're an employee owned company. I use their flour, but I prefer to use Marion Milling flour, our locally milled flour, because it's so much better than anything you can get. I will always plug it
perfect
right into the camera. But no, bread. It's I always joke and tell people. I'd honestly say that like once I started like farming, kind of like gave me like getting out to the farm kind of gave me like a new like outlook on life and like a new, not like approach to life, but at the time that I got to the farm, I was like super like depressed, dealing with like a lot, you know, of like, what am I doing in my life? Like, I'm looking at people younger than me and they're like doing such cool things, and then you realize like, oh, I just need to get out, you know. And so like farming helped me to like lose that like sense of like, it taught me to slow down. It was like, oh, things are gonna happen for me when they're supposed to happen for me. But just because this dude is like 20 and he's doing all this cool stuff, like his parents are like, you know, he is different upbringings. But I'll like say that like bread, I'll say bread like saved my life. Like not even like that. I'm that person now that like I found like a new thing to hyperfixate on. Yeah. Where I stopped drinking. So me and my partner, I feel bad because I should know it. I always say I'm always a year ahead, but I think we're 7 years sober.
Man, you got to get the tats, man.
I know. Just so I don't forget. Not even to like look cool, but just literally like it's 7. Yeah. But like I just felt like it was it's either 7 or 8 years. I think it was 2018. It's because I lose track of what year it is, because I don't like have a great concept of like time.
Especially post 2020, it's just a wash.
Yeah, it's just a wash. But yeah, so in 2018, we stopped drinking. And I was like, oh, I want to like develop a coffee addiction. You know, I want to like be that person that like I just like roll a cigarette up and like light it. Like don't smoke it, but just have like a lit cigarette and a cool ashtray and like a black coffee.
And just like a super obscure book or something.
Yeah, I just thought that would be like super cool. And I was like, man, people were like, who is this old dude? Like, what's his deal? And they're just like, I don't know. He's a good cook. But I was like really like just depressed, dude, just like down. And I just like, I didn't really know what I was dealing with because like my parents had me like see somebody when I was younger, but I guess to protect me, they never got me like medicated. We just never talked about it. You know, being black growing up in the 90s and like the early 2000s, you couldn't have any mental health issues. You couldn't be queer. There's so many things that just like, it just wasn't going to happen. And so to like, I was just always told I was just angry, you know, and just like, you know, just all these things. And then I was young and my voice was always pretty deep. So like, to be like 3 and 4, they're like, oh, this kid is like demonic, you know? But I was just a kid, just dealing with being like mentally unstable. And then I became an adult and was just mentally unstable and didn't really know what I was dealing with. And was in therapy and would talk to my therapist and would feel good, but then like would still just like not feel great. Yeah. You know? And then I like stopped and I looked and I was like, oh, and I'll put a disclaimer here in case you want to like go back. But like, I like looked back at my phone and I like typed like notes and was like, okay, if you're not doing these things by this date, then this would be like the last thing that people will like pick up from you. You know, it was like, I kind of gave myself a timeline. Wow. Yeah. Like legit was like, yo, if you're not happy, and I was 33, I worked dinner service and I didn't tell anybody. Like it was my birthday. Like I just like worked service and like went on about the day, got home. And then like my boss was like, dude, why didn't you tell us it was your birthday? We would have gave you a day off. We would have did this. And I was just like, it's just another day, you know, like legit. Like
it's smoke my hand rolled cig, man. Just
it was like, it's just another day. And so I like went home that night and like kind of like wrote out like I'm like very like pen to paper, very like
tactile.
yeah, I'm not great when it comes to like emails. I'm not great text messages, like responding back to things. Like I'll see something and then mentally think that I responded back and then didn't respond. I'm like, like, you know, and then Jordan would be like, hey, so-and-so, you know, I was talking to them. They were wondering if you, you know, and I'm like, oh, cool. Let me get back to them. But, so like I was just like flipping through and I saw a note that like I wrote to myself and essentially was like, hey man, 35, if you don't got to figure it out, like let's just like crap out, you know, like let's just like 86 it and like move on, and like the world could possibly be a better place without you. And it was weird because like I'd go places and people were like, oh man, your coffee shop famous. Some of my coworkers would be like, dude, I want to be in the city and like people stop and like talk to me the way they talk to you, or like, you know, and I was just like, that's wild, because like, dude, sometimes I just don't want to exist.
Yeah.
You know, and then I started working at Messenger and Ibis, and the more that I would just see bread and like see the croissants and all those things, and I would get to like do certain things. I literally watched Javier Nunez, he and his wife, they just had a baby, but the owners, Javi and Carrie Ann, they own Aurora Bakery. It's out in like it's like off like it's in Kansas.
Okay.
It's a really good bakery.
Cool.
Best literally the best croissants you can get.
Wow.
They do a creme brulee concha, and it's like,
dang,
it's really good. But I would just watch like how I would watch how he was every day, and then he'd just like walk around. He'd have his like mask on, 'cause it's like just after COVID. He'd just like walk around with this tray of bread, and then like just the way that he would, you know, he'd be like, yo, y'all want bread? Y'all want bread? Anybody want bread? And it would always like, you just see people's moods change, and I'd be like, dang, that's like kind of cool. Like, I don't know how to make bread. I don't know anything about it, but like, I really want to do that. And I was like making like cookies and like madeleines and things like that at my job. And my chef at the time, he was just like Chef Nick at Antler Room. He was like, dude, you're really good as a line cook, but like you don't have the passion for it. You know, like you do it because you're good at it and because you want to be better at it. But like, dude, you go home and bake. Yeah. Like, what you should do is try to get to somebody's like baking program, you know? Yeah. And so I was like, oh, cool. I'll learn like cookies and like financiers, and like I'll make these like real pretty croissants. And then the more I would see Javi just like walking around with bread, I would be like, dang, this dude is like cool. Like he's just walking around with bread. Yeah. And and just seeing how people's like moods change. And so I would just ask him so many questions, and I would go home and bake things, and then I would like bring it back and like get his opinion on it. And then I finally got an opportunity to like go and actually like work somebody's like bread and pastry program, and didn't necessarily love the place that I was at doing it, but like getting to like see that and like coming back and like not being good at something, and then like just getting my chops busted, and then coming back and then coming back and then just keep coming back. And then I was like, dude, I'm waking up early on Saturday mornings to go see my old like manager to ask him to help me to be better at this job. And he's like, oh, buy clay dough, you know, to work on your shape, and do this and do that. Take a towel and like, you know. And so I'm doing all these things, and I was like, dang, this is fun. Yeah. You know, like this is like, it's like my second life, you know. It's like you get that like you do something, and then like it's like the death of the ego, because like now I don't know anything about this. I mean, you know, like I don't know how to keep a starter alive. I don't even know what a starter is. I don't know anything. This is a whole new world. I got good at cooking, like hotline food, savory food, and then I just like hardline. Just dropped everything, and now I'm just like still in the same arena, but doing a complete different thing. And it the like it became me versus like the bread, you know? And so like, I was like, okay, now I want my like shaping to be good. I want my left hand to be just as good as my right hand. I want people to like, to look at me and think like, oh, I can ask him bread questions and not know that like, yo, I don't even know this. I'm literally asking like, I'm going home and asking somebody else something. But then it was that moment I was like, dang, I think I found what I'm here for. You know, like I think I found my purpose in life. And I was walking. We were down to one car last summer, but I'm at Green Dirt on Oak, which is like on 16th and Oak. And Jordan, my partner, she's a massage therapist. Her massage studio is in Studio Dan Miners. So I'd always just be like, baby, just drop me off because I can just walk over to get the car from you. And I feel comfortable walking instead of you walking over to get the car.
Yeah.
You know, I try not to like, to add to the patriarchal mentality too much, but like that's like it's just not like nobody's gonna catcall me, nobody's gonna bother me, nobody's gonna make me feel uncomfortable, unsafe. But like she's a small woman, and like I've never been a woman, it's not my experience, but from what she's told me, I feel more comfortable walking to, you know. So I'm just like, oh cool, you know, just like just I'll come over, you know, I'll finish up at work and I'll just walk over and get the car and then I'll come back and pick you up when you're done for the day.
Yeah.
And so I just had a bunch of like random projects going. So I made these like I had some old brioche. I made breadcrumbs, like brioche breadcrumbs, and I had them on bag. I didn't realize that my bag had a hole in it, but I also didn't realize that because my bag had a hole in it, the breadcrumbs had snagged. So I'm just walking over. I think I got like maybe like 8 like ugly brioche rolls. You know, like they weren't the prettiest, and at the time I was like, oh, I don't want to like leave anything for them to serve because if like somebody knows that I'm making bread at Green Dirt and they're like, oh, Kendall's making these ugly buns. So I would like put the ugly ones in the bag and I would like take them to my friends. But this one day I was just like walking and like didn't realize that I just got a trail of like breadcrumbs following me. And so I just, you know, I don't do anything to be able to like, oh, this is going to be a great story for a podcast. But so I was just like walking and like my homie texted me after and he was like, yo, where are you at? And I was like, oh, I'm like just walking, you know, down the boulevard, going to Jordan's like studio. And he was like, oh, because somebody just hit me up and they were like, they saw somebody with one of my t-shirts on. He had like this like brand he was starting. He was like, they saw somebody with one of the t-shirts on and they just saw him like taking bread out of his bag and handing it to a guy, and then he just like walked away. And he was like, and I just figured it was you because I couldn't think of anybody else that could be. And I was like, yeah, that like, yeah. So he was like, what, like, where you at? You need a ride? And I was like, oh no, I was just like walking and, you know, I had these loaves. So it was this guy just right there on that intersection of, it's like right there in front of Escapist, the skate shop.
Yeah.
And he's just there chilling. And I was like, you know, man, I don't have any money, but like, I got some bread and it's like pretty fresh. And he goes, huh. And so I like take the loaves out and like the bag is still open because like they're like literally fresh. And he like, I hand them to him. He's like, I can have all these. I was like, yeah. And he was like, oh, hell yeah. And so he like grabs them. He eats one. He was like, that's so much better than money. And I was like, thank you, you know, like thank you. And so like I just like brief interaction with this dude and then I walk off and I tell him, I'm like, dude, I'm like, the worst part was that like I didn't realize that like my bag had a hole in it. So like I'm just leaving this trail of breadcrumbs. And he goes, so basically this dude just had this experience where like this bread fairy just comes out of nowhere, like gives him like a bag of like fresh bread,
bread god,
and then just and so like he just like disappears and all there is a trail of just like
a literal trail
of breadcrumbs. And it was at that moment I was like, oh, I think I've like actually figured out what my purpose is. And like not to say that my sole reason for being here is to make bread, but it was serious like, oh man, sourdough. I like went to this farm because I really wanted to learn fermentation. And then sourdough, literally, like, bread is a form of fermentation. Sourdough is like this ferment that you have to keep alive, and like you can literally see it like active.
Yeah.
And so like something I always like to show my friends is you take a little bit of water and then you drop a drop of like active sourdough in it, and then you watch it float, and they're just like, oh, and it's just like, dude, because like it's just like us.
Yeah.
Like we would float if we're in the water. You know? And so like it's just that moment of like, oh, bread is really life.
Bread is life.
Yeah.
Wow, Kendall. Oh man, what a rich tapestry of story and information that was. I mean, everything about that was so hilarious and beautiful. I mean, the trail of breadcrumbs, the fact that you happen to be wearing your friend's brand, that he was able to like identify you. And that it ended with like literal sustenance for another person, which is so much better than money. And then also, to make it doubly funny, there's the word bread for money too. Like, you know, like people call money bread, which is so strange. But anyway, that was highly entertaining.
Not to interrupt you. So his brand was toasted.
Perfect.
So literally, like, I'm just walking through the crossroads with this like crop shirt, you know, sleeves off, just looking gross, fresh out of a kitchen with this like piece of toast on my back, handing somebody bread. Like, yeah, seriously, it is. As I say it out loud,
you can't make it up, man.
You can't make it up, but it is. It was like that was the moment that I was like, oh, I see what's happening.
You definitely, like, even just hearing your passion behind it, you definitely have unlocked a new layer of creativity, even just through this process. And also, I don't know how you feel about this. Maybe this is the question, but what are your thoughts on those moments where you do look back over your shoulder and you realize that there has been this like really significant weaving of all these different experiences to lead you to certain outcomes or moments or learnings that almost feel like it was so finely orchestrated? Like, where do you land, I guess, in terms of like predestination, or you know what I'm getting at here? Because like you mentioned, the vinegar to the sourdough to the bread, like you couldn't have predicted that, but when you look back, everything adds up on the path to get to where you were, you know?
Yeah. I always joke and be like, man, the person that is like in charge of controlling my character in the game probably has so much fun, because they're just like, yo, let's just throw something new and like see what happens, you know? And I will credit a lot of it to Jordan. Something she taught me is the practice of non-attachment. I used to like want to live forever. I used to like want to like have all these things, and then like once she taught me the practice of non-attachment, I was just like, oh, so like you can like hyperfixate on these things, but also like you have to be able to let something go. You know, like, I know I said time isn't real, but like timing is real. And so I think like, oh, all these things happen because I was supposed to be in these places and spaces, like both physically and mentally at that time, because there's somebody that is going to do better things than I'm going to do, but they needed to see me do it. You know, there's some, but there's some kid that's like bipolar, you know, that suffers from ADD, you know, attention deficit, and they're just like, dang, I really want to do these things, but like I don't have anybody that looks like me that's doing it, or that like thinks like me that's doing it. And then they can like see this dude that like has a hat that says bread on it, and they're like, oh, like this is really cool, like he's doing it. And so I think the idea of everything that I do, it's not for me. You know, and like keeping that in the forefront, it keeps you like open to like whatever just like life happens, you know. In the kitchen, there's like a term that's like on the fly, you know, like it's like, yo, like I know you have things that you have to do, but like we need this right now, or like this went out and it wasn't supposed to go out like that, so now we need to remake it on the fly. And so I kind of just live my life like that, as if like yeah, you can have a plan, but also like if there's a plan already set for you, like I'm not super religious. I grew up like in like a Baptist church. So I don't knock religion or anybody that like believes in it. I feel like whatever helps you get through this journey, you know, I'm not going to be the person to like put any hindrance on that. But I do feel like that we all have our role, you know, and if it takes you 40 years to figure that out, if it takes you 50 years to figure that out, like that's fine, you know, like there's no I mean, we all want to get old, you know, we all want to like age, but a part of aging is like growing and like adapting.
Yeah.
And so whereas one day I had a vegan restaurant and people knew me as that person, you know, there's a whole like world of people that don't even know that version of Kendall.
Yeah.
You know, but like that version's still in me. Like I'm still him. I've just plus I watched anime too. So like I think about like you get like Frieza. You know, like you saw Frieza, and then you saw the next form of Frieza, and then you saw this like what you thought was the final form of Frieza, and then Gold Frieza comes out, and you're just like, oh, so like there's always something else that can happen, and if you are like, nah, this is just it, this is me, that's it, you know, then you not only do you not allow yourself to like meet this evolved version of you, but then you don't allow other people to like meet and learn that evolved version of yourself.
Yeah,
you know,
that makes perfect sense. And actually, I forgot to mention this, but I did meet you once, like years ago. Ashlyn Wang is my friend.
Oh yeah,
and I can't remember what the situation was, but it was when you had the shop on Troost, I think.
Yeah,
and he was like, "We're going to meet this guy." He's like the guy, you know, and I'm thinking, so. But anyway, it's been kind of cool, even vaguely knowing you then, and then knowing you better now. I'm excited to see like the next evolution of whatever it is you unlock next, whether that's something to, you know, because for the record, it's kind of all in the same wheelhouse. Like from an outsider's perspective, it's like, farming, bread, vegan food, line cook versus bakery type stuff. It's kind of like the same as in my life. It's like, oh yeah, he does music, but some podcasting, and you know, it's like all kind of around the same
for sure
thing. So you're able to kind of live in the same world, but experience different aspects of it. But anyway, I just think it'll be cool to see what happens next in your life, because it seems like it's been a pretty exciting journey. And I met you when you were the vegan food guy, I think.
Yeah. Nah, funny story. I met Gaji at I was doing a pop-up so before it was Fox and Pearl, it was called like El Pollo.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
So my friend Austin, he had this kind of like dive bar. It was like super cool spot.
I remember hearing about it.
But so he would do these parties and these pop-ups, and so like I'm just out there like nervous, like I don't know anybody here. I think I did like this like, it was so stupid, the like sandwich I did. It was like this like strawberry and like avocado and like peach. I don't know. It was a sandwich and like a spritzy drink combo that you had to like have together. But I met this chef there, and he was just like super like rude to me, and the only thing I knew to do to feel better, I just went outside and like I had my skateboard, so I started like doing some flat ground stuff in the lot, and then Gaji came over and was like, "Yo, you want to play a game of skate?" And I was like, "Yeah," and he goes, "Cool. I'm asking, what's your name?" And I was like, "Kendall." And then we just like play a game of skate. He like washes me. Like, and I just like go back in such a better mood, and like whatever, we do the thing. And then I saw him a little bit later, like a week later at Penn, and he goes, "Dude, that sandwich was like really good, and like with the drink, like I really enjoyed that." And I was like, "Yeah, dude, got this cafe, blah blah blah," and it was like, "Yo, if you ever want like somebody to come and just like cook with you and hang out," and like legit, like just the next day, he just like came through. Yeah, it was just like the wildest situation. I was like, dude, we just skated in the parking lot, and then now we're trying weird tricks at Penn, and like,
you guys are total kindred spirits. Yeah, like skating. He's such a good skater. Yeah. He's got amazing taste when it comes to everything, like coffee,
everything.
Watches. He just like knows what's up. Something you said reminded me. Okay, all right, let's bring it home.
Got you.
Let's
ADD.
we're gonna do rapid fire real quick.
For sure.
The questions that come to my mind, and you have to answer in like
For
just
sure.
a couple words. Okay. Best bread type.
Focaccia.
Okay. If you were a vegetable, what would it be and why?
Onion, because they are versatile and you may not like them at first, but then you grow to love them.
I feel like you've answered that question before. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Coolest plant.
A zinni. Well, a flower. Was a flower considered technically a plant?
I mean, yeah.
Zinnies.
So. Okay.
I don't know. They're
What's
just
a zinni?
It's a flower. But they come in a bunch of different colors. They get like a nice height. You just let them grow wild. But then also they're really nice to like, you just let them grow as a cover crop, and then you can like cut them down.
Okay.
And then they just like feed the soil.
Nice.
So yeah, it's like a really
it.
pretty flower that just is there to just be pretty for a moment, but then it also has its purpose, you know? And so it's like, this is cool to look at, but also it's even cooler to cut down because it's gonna like just keep giving.
Yeah, I love that. All right, let's see. If you could give your 15-year-old self advice in one sentence, what would it be?
Just keep being weird. Like legit, just keep being weird.
All right, if you could describe parenting in one word, what would it be?
Fun.
I love it. Okay, any bands or music that you're into right now?
So I'm always gonna shout out my locality. Dream Girl is performing again, and Lacey has like literally the most like angelic voice. Mm-hmm. And Greeting Committee will be back performing for Boulevardia. My friend Pierce, who I worked with at Messenger and Ibis, is just like one of the best humans. But I've just been, Jordan will laugh at me, I've been very I call it happy sad. Like I'm in a good like mental space, but all the music that I've been listening to has been very just like,
I love that,
sad and somber. But also I think it's because like there's a Father John Misty song that like every day I've been starting work with. It's I went to the store one day, but it's the story about how he met his wife.
Oh yeah.
And it's just so pretty. Like it just ends and he's just like, I see you around. What's your name?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
A great musical. First off, I appreciate you shouting out the locals. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Greeting Committee, I think, is in Nashville now. Pierce is in Nashville, I think, right?
Yeah, he's in Nashville now.
Yeah, but still hashtag KC.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, best burger in Kansas City.
Okay, so I don't eat meat, but when I did eat meat, hands down, Kitty's Cafe. You have to go and get a specific way. You go to Kitty's Cafe, you get a burger, but you get it on toast. You get jam on both sides, and you get a fried egg over it. It's the best burger you'll have. A lot of people will say, my friend works at Disco Burger. So, like, I just had Disco Burger for the first time. It was really good. Like, it was really good. If I'm doing, like, the hipster thing where I'm like, oh, yeah. I roll my own American spirits, I go to Disco Burger.
Okay.
But outside of that to me personally, I think that it's Kitty's Cafe.
Okay.
You go there, you know exactly what to get, and if you call in, it's never a situation where you're like, was my order right? Like,
okay,
yeah,
all right.
Best burger.
All right, last one. Something you wish you knew about bread when this journey started.
Sourdough is painful.
Okay.
Yeah. You have to like get in it and like really like get in it, but then it dries up in your nails, under the beds and the cuticles. You find sourdough on your forearm and you got to pluck it out the hair. Yeah, it's painful.
Okay.
But it's delicious.
Yeah, we're the work gloves out there when working with the sourdough.
Yeah.
All right, man. So we got last question here. Chase Your Dreams podcast, because that's our whole philosophy, is that once you get those baseline needs met in life and you are in a safe place and you do have, supportive network and stuff, that we encourage people to equip themselves with the tools necessary to chase whatever dream it is that they have. And maybe that dream doesn't take them to the destination they thought, but at least it's a worthy thing to try. So with all that said, and your very, colorful history as far as all the things you've tried, is there a specific dream that Kendall is chasing these days?
I'm hoping to, which is funny. I'm actually like writing a business plan, but I'm using the journal that I got from Chase Fest because like it's got like this like little corner on it.
Yeah.
And it says it's like this dream is like powered by, and I put it's me because like it's me that's like doing it. And so like the first page, I have like this idea, and so I always like brainstorm a bunch of different names.
Oh yeah.
And I just like say it to myself, and like I say it all over. And so I want to open up a slow bar cafe and bakery that would eventually transition into a bread and breakfast.
And for people new to coffee, let's say, what's a slow bar?
Slow bars are usually ran by like a coffee shops like baristas. It's like a very experimental coffee experience. So like not like the churn and burn, like just the iced vanilla latte, which is like my like standard drink. But it's like matchas or like pour overs or like things that take a little bit more time to like to make.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna sound pretentious, but they're like crafted with intention. But like it's a lot of times it's so my friend Zach at Zach and Greg down at Messenger, they do the slow bar down there, and they'll just do like a bunch of real fun, like unique coffee roasts, you know, where you're like, oh, I would never try this typically, but like it's like I think they had like an $8 shot of espresso one time, which is like very steep, and but it's something that like is built on experience. Like, all right, we'll do this one time, you won't ever try it. But like one of my friends, Will, he pulled a shot for me and was like, dude, he was like, yeah, it's gonna taste like orange Kool-Aid. It was like, I usually don't like to like give it away, but he's like, dude, you gotta taste this. And legit, I took a shot of coffee and it tastes like orange Kool-Aid, and that just like it always sits with me. And so like the idea of like a space where like a barista can like actually have this like interaction with the customer. I'm coffee shop famous, so a lot of times I'm holding up the line because like baristas are like we're chatting it up, or like, you know, they're like my homies. But yeah, like a space where it's designed to slow down, designed for you to come in and have like a curated experience. And you know, when you leave there, it's not like oh, I feel super caffeinated, but like, oh, now I feel like rejuvenated. You know, I feel like going and like doing something, or like going and sharing this like vibe and energy with somebody else, you know? And so
I love that. And for the record, I think you'd be awesome at it. I mean, I think you carry like a very natural, affable, fun energy everywhere you go. And so that would be no different in a slow bar, especially if you could give somebody something to consume, you know?
Yeah. Like you'd order a Maritosi, it's like an Italian cream bun. But like instead of everything just being made and just like bulked out in front of a thing, you'd like order a pastry the same way you'd order like a sandwich. And like somebody would like take the time and make that for you. So like, you know, they're like, oh, like it was made for you. Like this entire experience is curated for you, you know? So,
and I do love that. And I really think there is something to be said for, I mean, just to bring this whole kind of conversation full circle, like things that take a long time, even comparatively, if it takes you 10, 15 minutes, I don't know what it takes to make a pour over, but it's definitely not pulling down on the drip machine. You know what I'm saying? That takes a long time relative to a drip coffee. And there's something really to be said for that in terms of intentionality. There's something to be said for learning parenting all over again with your 14-year-old, you know, there's something to be said for taking the journey through elderberry to get to bread or whatever. So I think this has been a really fun kind of meditation on the nature of patience and just evolution, like letting things organically evolve. So thank you for this. This was very fun.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, before we let you go, where can people find you if they're interested in learning more about you or following you? You on Instagram or anything like that?
Yeah, I think that I'm pretty sure Instagram is all oh no, I got a YouTube channel that I need to start like posting back.
Now's your chance, man.
But yeah, no, on Instagram at Keys and Carrots. It's like peas and carrots, but keys.
Okay.
And on YouTube, I think it's just my name. Or I think actually I got my YouTube changed to Keys and Carrots as well. It's just me doing some baking videos, and maybe I do maybe I post, maybe I don't. But there's no, I don't ask you to like or subscribe or like no notifications.
Yeah.
I'm not even teaching you, like giving you recipes. It's more so like internal dialogue, like out loud.
Oh, cool.
But while I do something like make biscuits.
Cool.
And so, yeah, I'm trying to be more active on like socials, but also I'm like a millennial boomer.
Yeah.
Where like I'm like, what is this doing, babe? And she's like, oh, you're trying to post on your story.
Yeah.
You need to get out of that, like, you know. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, thank you.
But what makes you out of touch is also going to make you progressive with the ideas. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying, because you're not conforming to the trends and stuff. So people are going to see it and be like, yo, this guy's on some other stuff.
I did buy a cassette recorder.
Nice.
And I got a microphone. So it's not anything nice like this. I got a VHS. So we have to do the reverse of this.
Okay.
But like the analog version.
Yeah.
Like a VHS like cassette and then like a little mini like tape, you know.
Cool.
And so yeah, we'll have to do that version of it. And I'll just like talk to you.
That'd be fun.
We'll just like
be like pen pals, but with cassettes, you know?
Yeah. Nah, seriously. I got in a estate sale and I've been like telling Jordan, I was like, man, podcasts are like super cool, but like, what if it was a podcast on like a cassette? She's like, nobody's gonna want that. I'm like, yeah, but it'd be
everybody's
cool, right?
gonna want that.
Yeah.
I think that's a great place to leave it. Kendall, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for
Thanks
having
everyone
me.
for listening. We'll catch you next time on the Chase Your Dreams podcast.